that was the end of Kovalev as we once knew him.
Kovalev's hurt! Kovalev's down! Kovalev's out! It's over! There's fifth gear. Canelo is the light heavyweight champion of the world.
From selling popsicles on the streets of Guadalajara to dominating the world stage, Canelo Alvarez's story isn't just about boxing. It's about survival, pride, power, and perseverance. But how did a red-haired Mexican kid rise to become boxing's pound-for-pound king, and why do so many still doubt him? Santos Saul Alvarez Barragan was born into a world that promised him very little. Growing up just outside Guadalajara, Mexico, he was the youngest of 8 children, 7 of them boys. In a bustling household, being the youngest often means being overlooked, but for Saul, it meant being a target. His red hair, fair skin, and freckles made him an outsider in his own community. The name Canelo, meaning cinnamon, was given to him as a term of endearment by his future trainer. But on the streets, similar names were used as insults. He wasn't just a boy, he was the different one. This early taste of adversity forged a defensive shell around him, a need to prove he belonged, a need to fight back. His family worked tirelessly, running a small business selling ice pops and helados from a cart. To help make ends meet, a young Canelo left school. While other kids were learning algebra, he was on crowded city buses, navigating the hustle of daily life, selling popsicles to strangers. This wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. Every peso he earned was a small victory against the poverty that shadowed his family. But the streets were a tough classroom, fights were common, and Canelo, tired of the taunts, learned to use his fists not for sport, but for respect. He discovered he had a knack for it, a raw, untamed power. His older brothers were already dipping their toes into the world of professional boxing, and seeing his brother Rigoberto's pro debut lit a fire in him. He saw a way out. Boxing wasn't just an escape from the name calling, it was a potential escape from the life of selling popsicles on a bus. It was a path to earning a different kind of respect, one that couldn't be questioned or mocked. The hunger he felt wasn't just for food, it was a hunger for dignity. That deep, primal drive, born from the concrete streets of Guadalajara, would become the very foundation of the champion the world would come to know. The journey from street brawler to professional fighter was shockingly fast. Canelo first stepped into a boxing gym at 13 years old, and the transformation was immediate. The raw anger he used for survival was now being molded, shaped, and disciplined. He found a home in the gym, a sanctuary run by the father-son duo, Chepo and Eddie Reynoso. They saw past the red hair and freckles. They saw a rare combination of grit, power, and an almost frightening determination. After a brief but successful amateur career, Canelo made a decision that would stun the boxing world. He turned professional at the age of 15. While most teenagers were worried about high school exams, Canelo Alvarez was trading leather with grown men for money. He was so young that many of his early opponents had to be vetted to ensure they weren't too experienced for the teenage prodigy who hit like a mule. He blazed a trail through the Mexican boxing circuit, a red-headed force of nature collecting knockouts and building a local legend. But as his fame grew and he crossed the border into the American boxing scene, so did the criticism. To the purists, he seemed too perfect, too polished. They labeled him overrated, a product of hype. They said he was too soft, that his carefully managed career was protecting him from real challenges. His flashy style and boyish good looks led many to believe he was more marketing than substance. The whispers grew louder with every victory. He's slow-footed. He's one-dimensional. Wait until he faces a true master. Through it all, Canelo remained loyal to his corner. The Reynoso team, who had been with him from the very beginning, became his fortress. Their philosophy was simple. The Reynosos have a quote that says, "You don't have to be the first to arrive, but you have to know how to get there." They were playing the long game, building not just a fighter, but a technician, brick by brick, ignoring the noise from the outside. Every great fighter is defined by the moments they are tested against legends. For Canelo, that first defining test was a humbling lesson. In 2013, a 23-year-old Canelo stepped into the ring with the pound-for-pound king, Floyd Mayweather. He was younger, stronger, and bigger, but he was thoroughly outclassed. Mayweather put on a boxing masterclass, exposing Canelo's inexperience and flat-footedness. It was a public schooling, his first professional loss. Lesser fighters would have been broken by such a dominant defeat, but for Canelo, it was the most important fight of his career. He didn't make excuses. He went back to the gym. He learned that raw power wasn't enough. He had to evolve. This loss was the catalyst that transformed him from a brawler into a patient, defensive defensive-minded technician. He learned to cut off the ring, to counter-punch with vicious precision, and to use head movement not just for defense, but to set up devastating attacks. His evolution was on full display against another legend, Miguel Cotto. This was a classic Mexico versus Puerto Rico showdown, and Canelo showcased his new, refined style, winning a clear decision and cementing his place as a superstar. But his biggest test, and the source of his greatest controversy, was his rivalry with Gennady Triple G Golovkin. Triple G was the boogeyman of the middleweight division, a relentless knockout artist. Their first fight in 2017 ended in a highly controversial draw, with many believing Triple G had done more than enough to win. The critics pounced, accusing Canelo of getting a gift decision on his own turf. The controversy intensified when Canelo tested positive for a banned substance ahead of the rematch, forcing a postponement. The boxing world turned on him. He was labeled a cheater, a ducker. The pressure was immense. When they finally met again, Canelo did the one thing nobody expected. Instead of boxing on the back foot, he marched forward, taking the fight to the feared pressure fighter. For 12 brutal rounds, they stood toe-to-toe. Canelo Alvarez won a narrow majority decision, but more importantly, he had answered his critics in the most definitive way possible by beating the monster at his own game. He had proven his power was real and his will was unbreakable. Canelo's ambition doesn't end with the final bell. He's building an empire to last beyond his boxing career. Knowing a fighter's spotlight is limited, he's diversified his wealth, owning a chain of gas stations called Canelo Energy, convenience stores named Upper, his own boxing promotions, a tequila brand, and a large real estate portfolio. He's as sharp a businessman as a fighter, securing his family's future for generations. This empire is grounded in deep pride in his roots. His pride shines during his ring walks. He enters the live shows of mariachi bands, wearing elaborate ponchos and sombreros that honor his culture. After wins, he often shouts, "Viva Mexico, cabrones!" He doesn't just wave the flag, he lives it. Canelo embodies Mexican boxing's heart, grit, and relentless pressure. Beyond the showmanship and business, many fans don't see his quiet philanthropy, paying for life-saving surgeries, donating millions to cancer charities, and aiding disaster relief in Mexico. When a young fan tweeted for help, Canelo personally covered a kidney transplant. This generosity reveals the man behind the fierce image, a man who remembers having nothing and is committed to giving back. Perseverance defines Canelo. His rise to pound-for-pound king has been a war, not just against opponents, but injuries, setbacks, and relentless critics. For every fan, there's a skeptic accusing him of cherry-picking or avoiding danger, but he turns doubt into fuel. Each criticism sharpens his focus. He's survived surgery, brutal training camps, and the weight of being boxing's face. So what drives him now? He has more money than he'll ever spend, titles in 4 weight classes, a beautiful family. The answer is legacy. He's not fighting for paychecks, he's fighting for history. He wants his name beside the all-time greats. That's why he takes risks, like jumping up 2 weight classes to fight light heavyweights. Even in defeat, he dares to be great. He knows legacy isn't built on an unbeaten record, it's forged in fire. When asked about retirement, he says it's far off. The fire that started on the streets of Guadalajara still burns, lit by a boy told he was different, a teen who fought grown men to feed his family, and a champion who refuses to let others write his story. Canelo Alvarez isn't just a boxer, he's what happens when you never back down. Power forged in pain, pride born from struggle, perseverance that never quits. If you believe Canelo is one of the greatest, hit that like button. And if you've ever had to fight for something you love, subscribe. Share this video with a Canelo fan and let us know who you would like to see next. Hey, if you're serious about starting or scaling a YouTube channel without ever showing your face or being a traditional YouTuber, I've got something you need to check out. I'm talking about Tube Mastery and Monetization 3.0 by Matt Parr. This course breaks down exactly how he runs over a dozen profitable YouTube channels and pulls in 7 figures from them, step by step. You get access to a private mastermind community, detailed video modules, proven strategies for niche research, content creation, optimization, monetization, and even scaling by outsourcing. Plus, there are amazing bonuses included like fill-in-the-blank video scripts, niche lists with 239 plus example channels, case studies, and more. Everything to fast-track your YouTube success. Right now, the price is still at an early bird rate, but heads up, it's going up soon. If you want to start a real location-independent YouTube business that actually works, don't wait. I've dropped the link in the description below. Click it to get instant access and start building your profitable YouTube empire today.